Hello, everyone. How are you? Uh, I hope that you are doing well, and I hope that so far so good. I hope that you are enjoying the video teaching lessons, and I hope that even though we are not together in person and face to face, I hope that you find this helpful and hopefully interesting. So we are continuing to work through our student's book, and right now we are continuing with Unit 9. So some other good news is that finally I have received my whiteboard. So I was able to purchase and receive my whiteboard through Amazon. And hopefully that will be easier. And in a moment, I might adjust it as we continue with our lesson. So I hope that you're able to see the information behind me here. And so today we are going to begin week 5 and day 1. So time is flying. We are already in the 5th week of this YouTube instruction. So today we will do 3 segments. And segment 1, we can start by discussing the homework, which was in the white colored student workbook. I only gave you 2 pages for extra listening practice and vocabulary practice. So in a few moments, we will check that together and see how you did. After we finish that, we will continue to lesson B in Unit 9. So lesson B and C, we will focus on some grammar. And this week specifically, we are going to practice past continuous tense. So in the past, but continuous. And we will also compare past continuous to simple past. And so in lesson C, we will focus on 2 words, maybe 3 words, which are commonly used with past continuous verb tense. So segment 2 will continue finishing up lessons B and C. And then segment 3 today, we will focus on some reading relating to our topic about daily living, daily life. So are you ready? Let's get started. So I'm going to go back to or start here in this white color book. And I gave you a couple pages to practice listening. So starting on page 102, and the page looks like this, 102. Okay, now I would like to very quickly play for you the answers to exercise 1. I hope that you had a chance to listen to this exercise on the Q reader. But very quickly, let's check the answers by playing them for you.
Unit 9, Daily Living.
Okay?
Page 102, Exercise 1. Did you hear that someone broke into Arthur's car last night and stole his computer? That's terrible. Arthur's really upset. He uses that computer for work, and it has the names and addresses of his customers in it. What's he going to do? Well, the computer has a secret code in it. If the robber tries to use it, an alarm will go off and tell the police where it is. That's smart. By the way, did you hear that someone robbed the bank on South Street last week? There is so much crime in this neighborhood now.
Okay. let's pause here. Let me just repeat the answers quickly. So number 1, broke into, past tense. This is an irregular verb. Okay, number 2, stole. Also irregular. Steal, stole. S-T-O-L-E. Number 3, robber. Remember that robber is a person. Rob is the action. Past tense action, robbed. Double B-E-D. Number 4 is the past tense answer, robbed. And the last one is crime, number 5. Okay, so this was also a little bit of review for vocabulary. So below, let's look at exercise 2. We have the answer for number 1. What happened to Arthur? And the answer given is B. Someone stole his computer. And number 2, why is Arthur upset? And what do you think is the answer? If you had a chance to take a guess, it is D. His computer has important information on it. So including customers' information, phone numbers, and so on. Number 3, what will happen if the robber uses the computer? And the answer is B. The police will find the computer. And the last one, what happened at the bank? What's your answer? The correct answer is D. Someone stole cash from the bank. Okay, how did you do on exercise B? Let's continue to the next page, 103, and we see a picture here. So looking in the gray box, we have the phrasal verb break into. What's the past tense? Broke into. We have came over. What's the present tense? Come over. So 2 phrasal verbs, and another one, got into, is past tense. What about present tense? Get into. Okay, the next word, robber, then stole, and worried. Okay, so let's see how did you do on this part. If for any reason you did not have a chance to look at this homework exercise, you can pause here, take a break, and fill in the blank, and then we'll check it together. So let's go over the answers. Let me read them, and I will pause, and you fill in the blank. Yesterday, I put my gloves on the kitchen table. I came back a few minutes later, and they were gone. I was worried. I thought, did someone break into the house? Was there a robber here? Then one of my neighbors came over. He had gloves in his hand. He said, my cat, speaking of cats, got into your house through the window and stole the gloves. I don't know why, but he loves gloves. I'm so sorry. Very clever cat, isn't it? Okay, how did you do on fill in the blank? Let's go down to exercise 4 and choose the correct answers. Okay, number 1, 2 men robbed a bank on Main Street. It would not make sense to say stole the bank. That means to steal the whole building. Not possible. Number 2, the same night, 3 robbers broke into a supermarket on Park Avenue. Number 3, the men made a big mess in the store. cans and bottles were all over the floor. Number 4, the robbers set off the alarm, so the police came over right away. Past tense, came over. Okay, number 5, the police said, we were busy with 2 crimes on the same night. So finally, exercise 5, there is one answer that you should check. What happened in the story? So what do you think the answer is based on what we listened to previously? Okay, the answer is the second box. The robbers ran away because the car didn't have any gas in it. No luck for the robbers. Okay, so how did you do with a little bit more practice in the workbook? I hope that it's another chance to practice with vocabulary, listening to pronunciation, and thinking about present tense, past tense, correct spelling of those words. So now let's continue. Pardon me a moment. Okay, we're going to go now to the green student's book. We're going to continue on page, just a moment. We're going to continue on page 112. 112. We can see past continuous, lesson B. We have a cue reader here, which I will point out to you. So at this time, if this will be more helpful, I suggest for you to pause again and watch the video. The video can give you more help and a simple introduction to this grammar that we are going to practice together. Okay? All right, so we're going to talk about the past continuous tense. Let me point to this behind me. Okay, so as we know, if we're talking about past tense, we need 2 main verbs, was and were. Okay, now continuous means we are using ing. We know that already. So was ing. He was running late to school. She was thinking about the future. So a little strange. The example is about the future, but in the past. Okay, now review. He, she, it, and I was. Yesterday, I was gardening outside and working hard to plant flowers and new plants in the ground. Okay, so I was plus ing. Now for were, we use you, we, they. My neighbors were busy walking in the neighborhood last week. Okay, now another quick review, and I think you can still see that. Good. If I'm asking a question with the question word were you studying English last week? Were you practicing with your conversation partner? I hope so. So if we use were you, we know that this is a simple yes, no question. So what's your answer? Were you practicing spoken English with your conversation partner after last week's lessons? Okay, your answer is yes or no. Okay, now another question we have spoken about a lot is an information question. Usually information questions include as I like to call the 5 W's: who, what, why, when, and where. So if we see this question word first, or hear this question word, we know that we need more answer, more information. So an example: when were you plus ing? Okay, information question. When were you planning to do your homework last week? Okay. So meaning, what's the meaning for past continuous tense? Okay. I think you know continuous means an action that continues and doesn't stop. So if it's past, it is describing an action in the past that was in the process of continuing. Now, sometimes that is indefinite or unclear. It could mean a general time period. For example, I was studying in graduate school in San Francisco. Do you know when? Do you know how long? The answer is no. So it's a general use of the past continuous. Okay. Now, maybe I want to get more specific information. So let's see if you can, let me pull or push back, sorry. I'm going to push back the dry erase board, see if you can see those questions there. Okay, hopefully you can see them. Okay, what were you doing in 1985? What's your answer? What were you doing in 1985? Okay, if I give my answer, maybe I give my secret away. How old am I? In 1985, I was learning in elementary school. I won't say what grade. Okay, what were you doing in 2000 or in the year 2000? What about you? What's your answer? You will say, I was verb plus ing. Were you worried? Were you thinking about Y2K in the year 2000? Just curious. Okay. Now, we have talked about the past tense words. Let me hold it for you. Yesterday and last week. Okay, so let's think more currently. What were you doing yesterday? I told you I was gardening yesterday. You don't know what time or how long I was gardening, right? What about you? Now, what about last week? What were you doing last week? Were you staying home? Okay, were you? This is a yes, no question. Were you staying home last week? Or did you go out to the grocery store? Okay, now, as we know, if we ask a question using past continuous, then we must answer in the past continuous. So now, let's see. We're going to go now to the book. And maybe you had a chance to pause and watch the video using the Q reader. Okay, so let's see a few more examples at the top of page 112. Page 112. Oh, pardon me. Okay, so I'm going to go over these examples and then we can pause for a short break and we'll continue again in segment 2. Okay, questions. We have an information question. What was Beth doing yesterday morning? She was cleaning her house. Okay. Now, do you notice the question used was? What was? She was is the answer. I repeat the same verb. Another information question. What were the neighbors doing at 10 o'clock? They were watching TV. They is plural, so we need to use were. What were you doing Friday night? I was doing my homework. So we can see the answer is following with the same verb tense. Okay, now we have yes/no questions. Was Maria visiting a neighbor last night? Or American style, last night? Yes, she was, or no, she wasn't. Okay. Were they, plural, were they watching a movie at 8:30? Yes, they were. No, they weren't. Okay, the last example. Were you working overtime on the weekend? Yes, I was. No, I wasn't. Okay, at this time, could you pause the video? And before we come back, take a look at exercise 2. There are some words here. We have different verbs: attend, babysit, bake, drive, eat, paint, play, study, visit, work, and watch. Okay, so you're going to use the past continuous to fill in the blank. Think about spelling. So when we come back, we will check. We will check the exercise together and continue on to lesson C. See you in a moment.